Hey everyone, I was hanging out this weekend and I was drinking from my handy dandy Yeti cup. Oh, look at that. And check out my straw. It's got a little ghost, because my house was haunted, so I buy a lot of ghost things. This is going to be a talk about spirituality, and I am going to use a metaphor, or I'm going to use an analogy that I thought of while using my ghost straw. So, I I took a sip, and when your straw has a hole in it and how you just get a mouthful of air. Well, that happened. So I took my straw out of the cup and nope, no air hole, right? So then I stuck my straw back in my cup and I tried to drink again, and there was like a blockage in the straw, like when you get a smoothie and a big chunk of fruit gets stuck in your straw. And that happened. So I took the straw out again and I looked down this thing and there was no blockage. And I was like, huh. So then I put it back in and I can drink from my straw. And I was thinking about how that is so similar to our central energy core. So the analogy of this is about whether you've got blocked or leaking energy and how that affects your energy core. And why is that important? Why would that be important? Well, your energy core is your vital life force. So it is important because when you have blocked energy, you can get physical ailments over time, having this blocked energy. And if you're leaking energy, I mean, you're just giving away your vital life essence, your vital life force. And that sounds kind of important. So learning about these things and learning how to control these things or clear these things sounds important to me. So let me share my screen. In fact, let me put on my glasses and share my screen. So I was thinking about the central energy core and my straw, right? Now this is a good size straw. And I was thinking about these little tiny ones that you get at bars and restaurants that come in your cocktails usually. And I think they're just stir sticks. But if you've ever tried to suck the drink through these tiny little straws, you get like no juice, no fluid, right? So it got me thinking about that central energy core and leaks, blocks, and the size, the diameter of that energy core. Now, more about that, the life force energy and what flows through the core. So it's referred to by many names around the globe. Prana is the Sanskrit term for breath or vital life force, used in Hinduism and yoga. Qi, the foundational energy concept in traditional Chinese medicine and Taoism. Qi, the Japanese variation of Qi, famously known in energy healing like Reiki. Kundalini, a specific coiled spiritual energy sleeping at the base of the spine that, when awakened, rises up that central core. The Ka, an ancient Egyptian spirituality, it refers to the vital life force. So, and then there's this word, Sushumna, the central energetic channel or pipe running directly up the spine. So that is what we're talking about here, the core, okay? Now, for me, thinking about it leaking, blocked, or tiny diameter, I want a core that's much larger. I think of boba straw. That's what I want for my energy core. Look at how big that is. It's so that you can get those big chunks of boba out of the bottom of your drink. Like, here's another example of how the diameter is. So our energy core that runs up and down our spine is intersected by our chakras. Here's the list, a chakra map: the root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. These are the ones we're born with. And what they are these vortices. They're like funnels, basically, that go big to small, and they intersect our energy core up and down our spine, and they go in from the front and they come out the back, and they are rotating, okay? These chakras, they actually store trauma from this life and other lives. They can be in there and they can cause blockages. So, going through, and usually in a meditation practice or going to an energy healer, you can explore your chakras and clear the blockages by healing and releasing trauma and integrating your healed self and acclimating to the new energy. And it's very important work to do. Here's the list of the chakras. They're spinning wheels of subtle energy. These are the 7 primary hubs along the central core. All right. So it just got me thinking, like, to me, I want my energy core to be as big as possible. I have had a Kundalini awakening. I will tell you that I didn't feel like there was a serpent in my spine. However, my brother, who just had a Kundalini awakening, he actually saw a serpent come out of his crown and look at him. But what it is it's a widening of that central core. So you go from that tiny cocktail straw to the boba straw. Now, there are varying levels of Kundalini awakenings. When I went through mine a couple of years ago, I felt like a human shake weight. I know I've used this description before, but that's what it felt like. My energy was slamming up and down in the core, trying to make it bigger on both ends. Basically, it felt like it was pretty intense. It was nearly a spontaneous, complete Kundalini, but it only made it to my throat the first night, and then it took me a week to get it through the crown. And when it finally did get through the crown, it was so intense. I mean, it was beautiful, all the colors. I was laying there. Um, the colors were so gorgeous, but I noticed that I wasn't breathing, and it didn't feel like my heart was beating anymore. Like there was too much energy, and so the Kundalini went back down to about here, right here, and it stayed there for another week. And I was kind of scared of it coming through, especially while I was driving. Like, what am I going to do? I'm not breathing or have a heartbeat. And so, what I think came through ultimately a week later was a little bit less energy because I don't think that my body physically could take the size of the energy that was trying to come through. But since then, I'm always when I meditate, my intention is always to bring in universal energy and widen that core, bring it all the way through and ground. And I do that all the time. So when we leak energy, that is when usually something emotional happens. I'll use the example of somebody cutting you off on the freeway. So when somebody cuts you off on the freeway and they nearly cause an accident and you get angry at the person, that emotion is leaking energy. Now, fear, anger, grief, shame, there's all these low vibrational emotions, and those are all leaks. So, beings that are on the astral, for example, spirits and whatnot, if you're leaking energy, it attracts these kinds of things to, eat on it, slurp it up like a straw. They're just slurping up your energy. We also can be leaking energy when we're worried about loved ones. For example, if like my mom, her health. So we have to learn how to identify these times when we are leaking energy, things that are making us emotional or worried, stressed, anger, all these things, fearful. And we have to cut the leak. We have to cut the energy. And we can send universal healing energy, by visualizing it to your loved ones and not feed them your vital life force because it can make you sick. So it is crucially important for us to understand this energy core and the ways that it gets blocked and the ways that we leak energy, so that we can become empowered to control our own energy, our own life force, keep ourselves from perhaps becoming ill physically or dying young, unless, unless you want that. I know a lot of people are not loving the earth experience and, looking to jump off, uh, but for those of us who want a long, healthy life, understanding this, and this is not something that we are taught, in our normal family structures. And I guess I'm going to talk about the Western traditional family because maybe this is something that people learn in, Chinese, Japanese cultures. Maybe it's more prevalent, the ideas about these specific concepts. So I'm thinking about my intention of having as big of an energy core as I can. I've been doing these amazing and beautiful meditations with the Monroe Institute and, connecting with my higher self. And I got to thinking, uh, I want, I want my energy core to be big enough and my physical body to be high vibrational enough to pull down more of my higher self. That's what I actually want. So that's my intention. And I said it just this weekend when I was having this epiphany about the straw analogy. And then I'm going to say, I really enjoy a channel on YouTube. I'm going to mention it. It's called Dove and Serpent Tarot. And he was doing Aries reading that I was watching yesterday. And at the end, he pulled an Oracle of Manifestation card. And the card that he pulled for Aries was infusing intent. And I was thinking, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm infusing intent. I am intent on growing my energy channel bigger and not channeling just my higher self or being connected by some invisible thread. I want to embody my higher self here in the physical. And so the mantra for that card was, I magnify my soul power. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a message directly from the universe. And I just wanted to say how much that meant to me. But crazy enough, because this guy is always saying things where I feel like he's talking directly to me sometimes. But he actually said the words, the bee's knees. And so I'm going to share again a picture. This is me holding up my latest painting, and look here, looky. Let me zoom in. My knees have bees tattooed on them. I mean, how much more coincidental or synchronistic can a message be? It can't. That's the answer. It just literally can't. So anyways, I'm enjoying, these little epiphanies, analogies. Like, I think if something as simple as my straw can help somebody understand better the importance of their energy core and doing the inner work to make sure that you are the one who is in control of your energy. We are not victims. If something is living off your energy, you're not the victim. You're the one who can cut the source and, cut off the feeding, right? So I just want to share that. I'm going to shuffle my my deck a couple of times, and let's see what the message is about this. Oh, go and focus. Boom. Oh, the red flame. Okay, so the red flame is about the solar plexus chakra. What's crazy about the solar plexus is that's where I'm definitely connected to the source. So I'm going to be clearing my solar plexus and making sure that's also very connected to source this week. Anyways, just wanted to give that little analogy. I hope that simplifies the ideas about what our energy core is and the importance of doing the work. Anyone who would like a useful tool for that can purchase my app on the app stores. It's called the Work Oracle. This isn't a commercial, but it is important to to do the work, if only to give you these lessons and to help guide you in some of the work that you need to do to help your energy channel become a boba straw. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed this little lesson, and feel free to subscribe, like, and I don't upload very often, so if anyone really cares to see my content, you would definitely have to set the bell icon, to be notified, because I'm not going to just create content for the sake of creating content. So, anyways, I hope you all have a beautiful week, and I will see you next time.